Hey everyone, my name is Mike and I live in Phoenix, Arizona in the United States. I wanted to make a video about my experience of first getting a fistula, having surgery, having that surgery fail, and then ultimately going to India for treatment with Dr. Bapat. The great news about this story is it has a good ending. I sit before you today a year after my last treatment with Dr. Bapat, and I am fully cured. I am healed. It's almost like it never even happened. So I am very grateful to Dr. Bapat, and that's one of the reasons I'm making this video. The other reason is I hope that it will find someone like me who was out there searching for answers online and give them some hope at a time where there's not a lot of hope to be had. So anyway, my story starts in May of 2016. I was diagnosed with a cyst, actually, and I went in for surgery a month later to have it removed. It was supposed to be an easy surgery. The doctor said a couple days off work, no problem. Famous last words, right? So I had the surgery. I woke up from the surgery and found out that there was something called a fistula attached to the cyst. So they had removed the cyst. The fistula was still there. They had put a aceton into the fistula to pull it close to the surface. And they were going to have to do a second surgery in about a month when the fistula was close enough to the surface to remove it. So obviously this was shocking. I couldn't believe it. First off, I was in major pain. So right away I was just in horrible pain. I was taking pain pills every 4 hours, and that wasn't even enough, frankly. It was the worst pain in my life. I can't emphasize that enough. Then I was out of work probably 4 weeks total just to get healed from that and go through the next surgery as well. So I went through the second surgery about a month after the first one. They removed the fistula and what was left of the aceton, and that was it. I went about my life healing back up. And about 7 months later, the fistula came back to the surface. And, you know, I just couldn't believe it. I already knew what it was, but I went into the doctor to verify it, same doctor that did my surgery, and she said, yep, the fistula's back, and I would like to do the same 2 surgeries again to remove it. You know, this sounds stupid to me because it didn't work the first time, so why would we do it again? So at that point I started doing a lot of research, and I found that a lot of people that had had these surgeries, it had failed and they had had multiple surgeries. Then I found Dr. Bapat's website, and the first thing I remember stumbling on late night when I'm searching, when I have a little time to look for this, which I'm sure many of you out there are in the same boat, I found a video, the animated video he has that shows the whole Kshar process. So I found it very fascinating, but my first thought was honestly that it was for people that couldn't afford the surgery. So I did a little more research. I watched some of the testimonials on his website, and I found that no, this is actually the real cure and the answer for this. My first reaction was to try to find someplace closer to the U.S. where I could get it done. Can I go to Canada? Can I go to another state? Where? Mexico? And it's only available in India. So my next plan was that I watched some of the testimonials, and I contacted through Dr. Bapat one of the people. His name was Nico. Maybe you've seen his testimonial. I believe he's from California in the United States, and I just sort of identified with him. I think maybe we were about the same age, but I had a really good conversation with him, told him everything that had happened to me, and he was like, 100%, you need to go to India to see Dr. Bapat. It's a great experience. You will not regret it. Asked a few family and friends, mixed reactions. Some people thought I was absolutely crazy, and others were like, go for it. Sounds like a good idea. So last year, in May of 2017, I went to Pune, India. I flew from Detroit to Mumbai, and then I took a basically like a car service, about a 4-hour drive from Mumbai to Pune. That was the cheapest way to get there flight-wise. It is possible to fly directly into Pune, but it would just be a little more expensive likely. I was fascinated from the moment I touched down in India. It is such a different country than the United States. All I can say is it's fascinating. It was perfect. So for the time I was there getting treatment, everything was so different. I would just be distracted by all these things and not even thinking about my treatment. So how it worked is I arrived in India, and literally the next morning I went to Dr. Bapat's office. Let me back up a bit. I rented an apartment over Airbnb, and I used Uber to get around, so all things people are familiar with. When I went to the treatment the first day, we had to do some tests, medical tests, blood tests, and then I had to have an x-ray done of the fistula tract, which was a very interesting process, a little uncomfortable, but no big problem. We were reviewing results that same day, which is amazing, and then the next day, Dr. Bapat placed the first thread through the fistula tract. That was also a little uncomfortable, but again, nothing bad at all. Then I saw Dr. Bapat for about 9 weeks, so it was about 2 months' time I was there, a little over, and I would come in and get a treatment every Friday, essentially, so once a week. My appointments were usually very quick. By the time we were doing the procedure would last about 10 minutes. And the best way I could describe it is, it's kind of, for me, it was kind of like going to the dentist. So when I would be on the table, Dr. Bapat would give me a shot which would numb the area up. Kind of like when you get a shot in your mouth and it numbs your mouth. Obviously this is much more complicated, but it would numb me up to where I couldn't feel really what he was doing. And he would be so quick, we would be in and out of there in 10 minutes. He would change the string out, put a fresh one in, and I'd be on my way. One thing I noticed is, kind of like going to the dentist, this numbness that I would have, I couldn't feel really anything, so I was fine, but I knew I needed to get home before it wore off. So I would get back to my apartment, and about an hour or two after the procedure, the numbness would start to wear off, and I'd feel a little more pain, and I'd be really sleepy. So I would always take a nap, and that worked out really well. Some days there was a little bleeding on that day when they would change the string, but nothing extreme at all. And again, let me remind you that I was on no pain medications, no antibiotics, there was no surgery involved, and that's what really makes it truly amazing. At the end of my treatment, I stayed an extra week or two so that Dr. Bapat could observe and make sure everything was good. And then I came back to the United States, and like I said at the beginning, I'm happy to report that it's been over a year now, and I have had no problems, no reoccurrence, just no problems at all. It feels like I never had a fistula, and my life is back on track. So I just can't tell you, Dr. Bapat, first of all, how grateful I am to you for just being a good person and a good doctor and an honest doctor. But also, I want to say something to the people that are watching this video, maybe late at night, that are really, I don't know, just not in a good place because they have a fistula. This is something you should do. You can contact me through Dr. Bapat. I'd be happy to talk to you about my experience, tell you about going to India, maybe give you some tips, but it'll be the best decision you've ever made in your life. First of all, you'll be healed, and secondly, you'll get to experience India, which is something most people don't get to do. So thank you all for your time, and again, contact me through Dr. Bapat if you have questions.